Good afternoon, jazz fans. Today we're talking about intros. An important skill for any jazz musician to have, particularly guitarists and pianists, is to be able to improvise an intro. You're going to find yourself in a situation where a singer or a horn player will pick a tune, pick the key, and ask you to do an intro. Very often they'll even count you in shortly after telling you the song and key. You have very little time to contemplate your intro. That's why it is vital to practice this skill. And as you can surely tell by now, the way I like to work on any skill, particularly at the beginning of working on it, is to check out what other musicians have done before. Today we're going to look at 4 great jazz guitar intros by Ellis, Barney Castle, Jim Hall, and Ed Bickert. I picked these intros because they aren't overly arranged. As far as I know, they came up with them on the day of the recording. Of course, it's very hard to know if these intros were improvised or not. I figure they all had at least a bit of time to come up with them. Having said that, none of these intros are particularly complex, and more importantly, they are solo guitar. These are all intros you could play note for note when the singer or horn player puts you on the spot. Or even better, you can take the general idea of these intros, like you would a line, and come up with your own. The first intro is by Ellis from a Lester Young album. This is off They Can't Take That Away From Me, and here it goes. And then there's a 1-bar pickup for Lester Young. What I like about this intro is that, first of all, it's simple harmonically. So it's basically 1 or 3. You can think of it as 1 or 3. It's F in first inversion, so A is in the bass. Then you have A flat 13, which is the tritone sub of 6. It's flat 3. Flat 3 dominant, which is a common substitution. But instead of going to 2 right away, it goes to the 1 of that 5. It goes to flat 6, which is D flat. So far we have 1 or 3. We'll call it 3. Flat 3 dominant to flat 6 major, just a triad. D flat major. And then all of a sudden, G7, which is 2 dominant. And then he goes, that's like a G minor 9, but it's over 5, so over C. And at this point it's a pedal. So he takes that shape, the minor 9 shape, it's a major 7 shape, but it's like G minor 9, and he goes, so B flat minor 9, A minor 9, A flat minor 9, G minor 9, just chromatic. And then a 1-bar pickup for Lester Young to play the pickup of the melody. And the other thing I like about this intro is that he has a melody on top. Granted, it's just 1 note, but it's alluding to the melody of the song, which is that note, the root of the song, the tonic, the F. So not only is it harmonically pretty standard, basic, it's a good intro, but it's also alluding to the melody. Great intros will often do that. They'll reference the melody in one way or another. Now, the case could be made that maybe he's over-referencing it because it's a lot of F, and then when the melody comes in, it's a lot of F. So it's a lot of F. Might be too much F, but all in all, this is a really great intro. It's simple harmonically. It's short, it's only 4 bars, that's pretty standard. Sometimes intros are 8 bars. But it's definitely an intro you could learn, figure it out in different positions, or just create a new intro inspired by it. The next intro we're going to look at is by Barney Castle, and again it's from a Lester Young album. This time it's from Lester Young's album with the Oscar Peterson Trio. The song is I Can't Get Started, and here's the intro. And again, Lester Young comes in with the pickup. So I Can't Get Started, a great ballad. So in many ways this intro is similar to the one by Ellis we just looked at. It's quite simple harmonically. 1 major 13, we have 3, 13, 9, 5, major 7. And again we have the tritone sub for 6. This is E flat or flat 3 dominant. And I'm playing it the way Barney Castle would have played it with his thumb, covering both the E and A strings. And it's an E flat 9 sharp 11. E flat 3rd, flat 7, 9 sharp 11. So it replaces a regular 6 dominant. Instead of just A7 we have then 2, which he plays with his fingers. Before that he's using the pick. D minor 11, G13, C major 7. Now here it changes a little. So what's that? Well, that's a B flat minor 9, E flat 9 he played, which resolves to A flat major 7. So it's kind of like the first time we went through the chords. 1, E flat dominant. So here we did, the second time we did E flat dominant again. B flat minor 7, E flat dominant, but instead of going to 2, we resolve it to flat 6 major. So that's a lot of theory, but it's just to say it's a really nice thing to do. He modulated in the intro, and he's going to set up C major very shortly. So A flat major 7, now D flat 9 sharp 11, the same voicing he used for that E flat 9 sharp 11. Down 2 frets, it's D flat 9 sharp 11, which is the 4 in A flat major, but it's also the tritone sub of 5 in C major. So he's using this to pivot to go back into C major. So D flat 9 sharp 11 is a tritone sub for G7, and it has that E flat, which is the 9 of D flat, and it's the sharp 5 or flat 13 of G. So he's kind of doing a G augmented sound at the end. Another thing he does, like Ellis, is he quotes the melody. Ellis with that F, and Barney Castle is literally playing the melody here. His pickup to his intro is. All of that is the melody. But he keeps it going. That's how I would play this chord, with my middle finger covering both the E and A strings, but you can play it either way. They both have their own difficulties. So a great intro. You're setting up the song beautifully, nice chords, nice melody, you're referencing the melody. It's very unique to this song. You wouldn't necessarily play this intro note for a different ballad. It would be a little odd. So that's why it's important to think about the song you're about to play and not just think of a chord progression. It's a lot to think about, but the more you practice it, the more you'll be able to do it. The next intro we're going to look at is by Jim Hall. It's from a Paul Desmond album, and the song is Easy Living, from the album of the same name. Here it goes. Wonderful intro, quite simple, nice little melody. Always coming back to that F sharp. And then all of a sudden, we're in a new key. On further inspection, it's not so simple. There's a big modulation at the end. So what's happening there? Well, so we start in B major, which is kind of an unusual key for jazz. So what are we doing? B major 7 to B6. C sharp minor 11. Turning it into an F sharp 7. Again, B major 7, B6. Now, all of a sudden we have an F minor 9 to B flat 13, flat 13, E flat 6, 9. So what happened there? Well, we were in B major, and we went to E flat major. So why would Jim Hall start an intro to a song in E flat major, start his intro in B? Well, first of all, having a modulation in your intro is a really nice thing regardless. It's a little surprising, and it also changes the sound of the song, and very often for the better. Changing keys is a great way to surprise your audience. But there's a deeper meaning. The song Easy Living, they do in E flat. Let's say we're going to the bridge. So the song is in E flat major, but the bridge is in B major. The bridge goes to flat 6 of the key. So Jim Hall is starting his intro in the key of the bridge, and then doing a quick 2-5 to the key of the A sections to set up the beginning of the song. And he does it beautifully with a nice melody and great voice leading. So the melody of the intro keeps going to that F sharp. So he goes up to that G, which becomes the 9 of F minor. The lesson to be learned here is that your intro doesn't have to be in the key of the beginning of the tune. It could be in a key that's unrelated to the tune altogether. Although doing what Jim did is a really good way to play your intro in a different key. Play the key of the bridge. So let's say we're doing the song Mild Flame. Goes to flat 3. Your intro can be in flat 3 major, and then you could set up to go to F. So let's say I want to do an intro to Mild Flame, taking Jim Hall's idea. Now the key relation is different. The song is in the key of F, 1, and it goes to flat 3 in the bridge. Easy Living is in the key of E flat, let's say 1, and goes to B, flat 6. So the relationship is different. You can't play the exact same intro for both songs. But I'm going to take the idea of Jim's intro and improvise an intro. And then we're into the song. So what I did there is the same thing as Jim Hall basically. 1, 2, 5. But I went to 3 instead of 1. Flat 3 diminished to go to the 2-5 in the key of the head, F, the A sections. With that common tone F. F. Using a common tone between the two keys is a very smooth way to modulate between keys. You look at the common tones between the two, and all of a sudden the keys don't seem so far away from each other as before. The fourth and final intro we're going to look at today is by great Canadian jazz guitarist Ed Bickert from Paul Desmond's 1975 live album. The song is Nancy with the Laughing Face, and here it goes. Song comes in. I like this intro a lot because it's beautiful and it sets up the tune perfectly. So let's look at what Ed Bickert's doing. So the song is in E flat major. So the first chord he plays at the intro is this B flat over E flat, which is an E flat major 9. But he quickly hammers on the third from that 2 or that 9. So just 1 major 7, E flat major 7, and then, so that's like F minor over B flat, and then he hammers on the same note. There isn't a third or fourth in this chord, but to me it sounds like a sus chord. So to me it sounds like 5 sus or 5-13 sus. Ed Bickert has the great ability to suggest a note in a chord even when he isn't actually even playing that note. And then back to E flat. This time he keeps the 9 and adds the 13, so adding color to the chord. So it's an E flat major 13 or major 9 13, however you want to call it. And then the last chord, all of a sudden we get this very dissonant C7 chord, so 6 of the key of E flat major, flat 9 and sharp 11 or flat 5, which he hammers on, so sharp 11 to the 5th. So where is that coming from? Well, there's a good lesson to be learned here. The song starts on the 2 chord. It starts on F minor. It doesn't start on 1, E flat major. So before you go to improvise an intro, it's very important you know what chord the song starts on. That might seem obvious, but a lot of songs don't start on 1. Just Friends starts on 4. A lot of songs start on 2, like this one. So before you start your intro, you should have a general idea of your game plan. So he's playing the C7 because it's 5 of 2. And it's a very dissonant, very dark, very perfect way to set up that 2 chord, I think. Again, it's very harmonically simple. 1, 5, 1, 6, to go to 2 at the top of the form. So that's a good lesson to be learned. Your intros don't have to be harmonically very complex. In fact, the simpler the better in many cases, as shown in the last 4 examples. What I love about this intro by Ed Bickert is that it also sets the mood, sets the tone of the song. That's an important consideration when working out or improvising your intros. Think about the lyrics of the song, think about the tempo, the title. These are all things that you should take into account when doing an intro or even just playing the song. These are things that you should be thinking of. So that's it for today's lesson. I hope it was helpful. I do plan on making another video like this one in the future. There are many more jazz guitar intros that I would like to talk about. Maybe even piano intros and translating them to the guitar, because there are so many piano intros. I'll also do a video like this one, but with endings. Ending a song is just as important and very often just as difficult as introducing a song. What people tend to retain the most is the beginning and end of a song. That's why this lesson is so important. Thank you.